Hey guys, this is Flashbacks, a Flash Rewatch podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm joined today by.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm filling in for the normal co-host Will while he is on paternity leave.
Yep, that's so we don't have the. Sorry, I remember from our last episode we had the little mishap with like the trying to determine the different meanings and stuff. Yeah, so like yeah, you were right last time. Just
I
saying that on the air.
yes,
But
I
anyway,
know.
yeah, that awkwardness out of the way. So we're here today to talk about season 1, episode 22, Rogue Air. A lot of these titles are kind of like generic, and so like unless it's like one I've seen a bunch, I have a hard time like because I saw that title and I'm like, I wonder what this one's going to be about. It's not like Grodd Lives or something where you pretty much know from the jump what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this was like a really good episode. But before we get into that, I would like to take just a brief moment to mention I might record a full thing on this later, but if I don't, just my thoughts on Superman and Lois just briefly. I really love that series. I think it's a really solid series. I'm glad that they got to end on their own terms. And I think it's like an amazing series and just really, really good. And it unfortunately means the end of the Arrowverse slash the CW stuff, but we had like a hell of a run from Smallville to Superman and Lois. Like we went from Superman to Superman. So yeah, I will definitely miss the CW verse. I kind of wish they were going in a different direction, but it's okay. We still got 4 great seasons of a great show. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna be like, well, it's just because like the CW as a company is kind of trash, and that like they don't want to pay writers to actually write, so they're just gonna do reality TV, which is lazy and I don't like reality TV. So the only
I'm,
reality shows I like are cooking shows.
I mean, if it was just reality shows and also like prime time like written stuff, it'd be one thing. But like, it's really gross that they're only doing that basically so they don't have to pay more writers and like especially after the strike and everything. Like, it's just really gross.
I just Man, eat the rich. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so with that brief aside done, I guess we'll just go ahead and get into my notes. So um, off the top about the Flash scene in Arrow with him breaking them. So just I'll mention this off the top. Sorry, I wrote that note weird. So like, just in case I don't mention in the finale, I did say I was going to address every time the Flash appeared on any other show, and so it's actually after this episode. But I figured we'll have like too much to talk about in the next one, so I'll go ahead and address it here. So in season 3 of Arrow, like Team Arrow is all locked up in the League of Assassins like hideout basically, and then Flash comes through and knocks out all of the guards and everything, and basically frees them. That's the extent of the scene. Felicity asks him if it's like, oh, we could really use your help. He's like, yeah, I'm long overdue for a long conversation with Wells, is basically what he says, and then like he leaves. So that just addressing that off the top, because I said I would talk about every time he showed up and other things. So anyway, we open on voiceover by Reverse Flash, kind of similar to Barry's opening monologue in the pilot episode. Wells is talking about basically losing everything, and if you just accept your new life or fight back to get what was taken from you. We find out he's talking to Eddie. He assures Eddie that he will get back everything that was taken from him. So, I made a note about this, and without going too personal, this kind of reminded me of what I've recently been going through with my hacked Facebook page. And again, not gonna really go into it that much, but like,
Let it go.
when I made these notes, it was a while back, but yeah, like it's just like I kind of relate, but also like you can't go too far, basically.
For new listeners, I am his wife, so I have been hearing about this for over a month. He needs to let it go.
I made these notes on December 1st, so like it was a little bit more fresh
It was
then.
a week ago.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I love him very much. I'm being mean. I need to stop.
yeah, I was gonna kind of bring up in like a humorous like way, but yeah. So what would you do in a like not with Facebook obviously, but like given a similar experience where like you just desperately wanted to get back to what was taken from you, like how far would you be willing to go, basically?
You can't get the past back. And like I know like it's technically like not the past, but like for him, but you can't get the past back. Like you need to learn to let stuff go. Everything in life is ephemeral. Things come and go. People try to hold on to things too tightly. Um I would just let it go. Like
Yeah. I kind of
I
learned that lesson recently too, besides my
yeah.
wife fussing at me, but yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's because it he goes too far and it makes him more of a villain, basically, because he's willing to do terrible things. And like we also see like kind of parallel theming in this. Like we see Barry in certain ways, which we'll get into, but like how far he's willing to go to is like another common theme of this episode.
I think like comparison is a heavy thing in the episode, and I think it's interesting to see how that like weighs on Barry's shoulders. But continue.
Yeah. So anyway, title card. We go to Jitters where Barry is meeting Iris. She's looking over her return labels with her and Eddie's name on it. She is skeptical if they'll ever find Eddie. She says he's looked everywhere, but Barry assures her he'll find him. She's not mad at Barry. She just misses Eddie. He comforts her, holding her hand. Wells took my mom from me. I won't let him take something from you too, is what he says to her. He gets a call from Cisco and reports back to Star Labs. Cisco had a revelation in regards to Wells' wheelchair. He asked, "Why do you think he used on Caitlin and him initially?" Basically, it's like, "Why do you think he used the wheelchair?" And then Caitlin says, "Probably like for sympathy." Joe says it's a misdirect, like everything he did. Cisco agrees, but he says that's why he started messing around with it. There's a power source hidden in it, similar to the tech that powers Gideon. Joe has a humorous response. Damn, you can't get that at Radio Shack. Is Radio Shack still a thing, or is that?
No, it's not. Which is why if you ever need a job, you can always just lie and say that you were in management at Radio Shack because they have no way to prove or disprove it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And so anyway, the power source has enough juice to power the city. It's a battery that Wells was using to power himself up to get more speed. That's why he's faster than Barry. Just then, they get an alert. The particle accelerator is on. They think Wells did it, but how? He's been there the whole time. I made the joke while we were watching it that the call was coming from in the house, basically. Yeah, so Joe, Cisco, and Barry go down to the pipeline entrance to investigate. Joe, gun drawn. Joe asks why Cisco brought his orange soda, and he says that whenever Reverse Flash stuff happens, in the past the liquid floated, so it's kind of a warning system for them. I really like this. I thought it was like pretty clever of him. It shows he's a smart character, and like it also shows that the writers are smart too.
Cisco has always been like super smart.
Yeah.
We love that for him.
Mm-hmm. They open the door and see the massive pipeline tunnel. Joe even remarks how massive it is. Cisco's drink starts floating. He starts warning them, but it's too late. Reverse Flash speeds out and out of Star Labs, and Barry runs after him. Cisco, what do we do now? Reverse Flash released Peekaboo. She wastes no time grabbing Joe's gun and pushing them down into the pipeline before shooting the access point to the door, locking Joe and Cisco in the pipeline. Caitlin sees her and says Peekaboo, and Caitlin runs, but Peekaboo knocks her down. She beats her up, saying, "You know what it's like being in a box for so long." And okay, here's one thing, and I've noticed also another place that I'll bring up later if it's in the notes, but like some of the lines here are kind of weird. One of the worst lines or line deliveries in this episode. Now you're going to be the one in a box in the ground. I feel like that was so clumsy. Like there was a better way to say that, or I feel like it was really apparent. Basically, like the whole box thing's like, yeah, talking about killing her, obviously.
You think that? I just assumed she was gonna stick her in the tube until she said in the ground. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just like it was kind of like I guess I'll bring this up, and I'm sure I'll go over it later, but. It's like when Captain Cold is talking to Barry later on, and he's like, "I'm a bad guy. I lied." He just starts listing stuff he does, and it's just like really kind of clumsy.
I thought it was silly. I enjoyed it. It was very camp.
Yeah. So anyway, Iris saves her by knocking Peekaboo out. Barry is running around the city. He tries to grab Reverse Flash, clearly frustrated, but he's gone. Cisco and Joe put Peekaboo, I'm going to be so happy when I stop saying that. It's such a silly name, back in her cell, but Joe hears weird muffled yelling. It's Eddie screaming for help. Iris and Joe save him, taking him out of there. He looks half dead. Iris examines the room and discovers the box with the engagement ring Eddie was going to propose with.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie is fine, just dehydrated. Barry shows up and apologizes for not being able to find him. Eddie says it's not his fault. Eddie is the best. Sometimes you just can't see the clues even when they're right in front of you. He gives a knowing look to Barry and Iris because he knows they get married in the future. Man, poor Eddie. I felt so bad for him in this episode. That's not any different from the past, though. I think in the past, too, I felt really bad for him. Joe asks why they took him. He says Reverse Flash said their family and his name is Earbard Thon. Joe points to Cisco. That's what he called himself in Cisco's dream. Joe asks if he said anything else. He didn't say much, just kept working on some tube. Reverse Flash said the tube was the key to getting everything back that was taken from him. Eddie asks to go home and leaves with Iris. The computer lights up with another alert. Cisco's disturbed by it and runs out with no explanation. Cisco finds the tube that's powering the accelerator. Barry asks if he can shut it off. Cisco says it's from the future, so he doesn't even know what to push, and if he did, what the consequences might be. Cisco theorizes it will be 36... I put minutes here. It's supposed to be... Is it minutes or hours? I think it's hours, right?
Hours.
Yeah, it's like 36 hours before the accelerator is fully operational, and that's when Wells will be back. Why would he want that, though? It wasn't successful the first time. The metas in the pipeline would be killed if the accelerator cuts back on. Interesting that Joe has never liked the pipeline prison, saying he thought they were supposed to rehabilitate them and set them free. That is still the plan. They've just been busy. I didn't know. I don't think they've really addressed it in any other episode. I didn't know that was their plan to try to rehabilitate the bad metas and release them, because I think this is the first episode they bring that up.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of to justify Joe allowing that to happen, being a cop, because he's supposed to be upholding the law and it's illegal imprisonment.
Yeah, it's really sketchy.
Yeah.
Barry wants to move them to Leon U, the island Oliver was trapped on. They have an Argus-sanctioned high-security prison there. I like they call back to Captain Boomerang being there. We move them from one black site to another. I guess so, yes. Yep. And that's basically Barry back and forth with him. Mm-hmm. And how do we move them to Oliver's own private Alcatraz? Barry's going to ask him to help move them. Joe thinks this is crazy, but Barry will need his help to transfer them from the city. Cut to CCPD. Joe meets with Cecile, his future love interest. They're each other's favorite. He's her fave detective, and she's his favorite DA. I forgot, because she obviously becomes a big deal. At some point, spoiler alert, she gets powers in the future and,
she's
helps...
an empath.
Yeah, she helps the team. And so, it's so weird seeing these early seasons where, she is at most, I would say, just a reoccurring side character. Yeah, so she was, a reoccurring side character, and it's kind of interesting that later on they chose to, she's a good actress, but they chose to, kind of elevate her. Yeah, obviously she gets a lot more to do in the future. But he does the classic hypothetical question. What if he had metas locked up in a prison that did what Iron Heights couldn't, but she's smart and says she'd be very concerned, and why is he asking? Mm-hmm. He asks her to clear a route through the city. She says she can't get involved with this and starts leaving before telling him to get as far away from this as possible. Barry says an Argus plane will transport them, but Oliver didn't come through. He's in Nanda Parbat. Anyway. Lila is going to help them. Joe regrets how many lines he's crossed, saying how are they different? Basically, how are they different from the bad guys? Barry says they do it to help people. I think this... basically, I like this back and forth. Cut to a bar called Saints and Sinners. Captain Cold requests a drink. Barry shows up needing to talk to him. Barry needs his help with the problem, and Cold as Ice by Foreigner plays on the jukebox, which I thought was kind of funny. Barry needs help transporting 5 metas, and Snart isn't interested, but Barry mentions he loves Central City and tells Cold his favorite city won't be there to love if they break loose. won't be able to rob anyone if everyone is dead. It's a compelling argument, is what Snart says back to him. Snart says if he agrees, he'll need something in return and writes something we don't see and slides it to Barry. Barry says it's impossible, but pleads there must be something he wants, and Cold says he'll think about it. So I'm assuming the thing that he wanted was his sister, maybe. So Iris confronts Eddie about the ring. He says he's basically so. Iris confronts Eddie. He's walking out from like the back of the police precinct about the ring she found. And he says he's not going to propose because Reverse Flash showed him the future. Joe is furious that Barry went to ask help from Snart, but they're out of options, and the thing goes on in 16 hours. Snart appears, and Joe instinctively draws his gun. Everyone is on edge. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yep.
Snart wants his whole record scrubbed, and he'll do it. Joe says no way, but Barry, to the shock of Joe, agrees. Joe pulls him away to talk. Joe doesn't like the... What's up?
Never mind. I'll make my comment later, but I feel like it would have been smarter if Barry had agreed to do it after.
Yeah, but Barry's also learning, so it kind of tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So... Oh, yeah, Joe pulls him away to talk. Joe doesn't like the crazy methods Barry is using, and he says he'll... basically he says he'll do this. There is no other option. He's been so far behind Wells. Saving the metas is the only thing he can do. He's feeling inadequate. Barry runs as the Flash to erase Snart from the database. He hands Snart the last bit of evidence, and suddenly Golden Glider appears, turning it into gold, saying they'll be working together. Back at Star Labs, Golden Glider calls Caitlin uptight, and she gets really mad about this. She says she can't call her that. I thought that scene was kind of funny. They're back and forth. Barry is still masked up because Snart didn't tell anyone his identity, including his sister. Cisco has the Riz. Golden Glider flirts, but he's not biting. She mentions enjoying kissing him. Caitlin, you kissed her? Cisco, under duress, calm down. I love that whole back and forth and just her, like you said, her judgmental look. He rebukes her, but hates he has to be the good guy. Cisco got an 18-wheeler to transport the metas and is using a power dampener powered by Wells' power source. He's going to get them to the airport and on the plane. They need a Class A driver, and surprisingly, Golden Glider says she has one and will do it. Caitlin and Golden Glider have another back and forth here, basically being like, you have that? And she's like, we can't all be doctors. I love how petty they are with each other. It's kind of fun. The convoy is off with Barry leading them. Unfortunately, the inmates, like weather wizards, start waking up. They're all up, and Weather Wizard realizes he can't use his powers. I like that him and Nimbus have a back and forth. Weather Wizard challenges Nimbus to a fight as they arrive at the airport. They arrive at Ferris Air, which early on in the Arrowverse, I think they were trying to pivot and show like Green Arrow maybe eventually, because they had a lot of like Easter eggs to like Ferris Air. There's even a moment in one of the flashbacks with Oliver where you don't see the face of the person, but you see someone with like a fighter jacket, and it has like Jordan on it, like Hal Jordan, basically. Mm-hmm. So like they were really trying to tease, and I think DC eventually realized that, and they're like, you can't, like, no, like, stop that. And eventually you notice those references kind of go away. But and obviously in the future they were going to make Diggle a Green Lantern, but then of course DC was like, no, you can't do that, so he had to reject it. That's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, so yeah, anyway, they arrive at Ferris Air. Thought it was shut down. It was one of the test pilots that disappeared. Basically going back to what I was talking about with the Green Lantern. So Barry tries to justify what they're doing, and Joe says he just wants it to be over. Golden Glider begs Cisco for an alias in a weirdly flirtatious way. Fine, Golden Glider. Smart is sexy, Cisco, is what she says back. Just making bedroom eyes at him this whole episode.
She just wants to smash. That's all she wants.
Yeah. The plane is finally arriving, making its final descent, but not before the power dampener glitches, giving the metas their powers. Golden Glider smiles when Cisco realizes that the dampener isn't working. Weather Wizard uses lightning to strike the plane down. The doors of the trailer bust open. Trips canceled, Nimbus shouts. Joe shoots at them while Barry uses his tornado trick on Nimbus. Rainbow Raider uses Caitlin's repressed anger at Cisco over Ronnie to make her fight him and distract the team. Weather Wizard tells Simmons to finish him using his laser eyes, but Cold ices him. That was really brutal, like surprisingly. I was like, Jesus, when I saw like it's pretty graphic for this show. But yeah. How about we call it a tie? Right here, Rainbow Raider tries to use his powers on him before Golden Glider presses the gun to his temple. I'd power down if you don't want me to melt your face. I like this moment. I like anytime the villains have any kind of like interplay. It's kind of fun. It's very comic booky. He tells them his name and that he's letting them go. Captain Cold does. He only killed Rainbow Raider because he owed him money. I thought that was kind of funny. He goes to Barry. He deduces he sabotaged the truck, and Cold says it's so he'll have more members of the Rogues. Barry said he gave him his word, and he said he did, but he's a criminal and a liar, and he hurts people, and he robs them. What did he expect? That was the line I was mentioning earlier. He says who Flash is really mad at is himself. This one is on you, Barry. He didn't kill Flash, so he'd owe him one too. This Captain Cold is all about people owing him one this episode. So anyway, Cisco runs up to check on Barry, and Golden Glider and Cold right away on like a motorcycle. Joe goes to check on a dejected Barry, and Caitlin uses a light thing to cure herself and is fine, mostly embarrassed. Barry thanks him for not doing the "I told you so," and he said he did tell him so, though repeatedly. Barry thought he could do whatever it takes like Oliver, but Snart used him instead. You're not Arrow, Barry. That's not the kind of hero you are. What kind am I? The kind that cared whether or not those criminals lived or died. He values human life regardless of what they've done and knows the difference between right and wrong and wasn't willing to blur the lines between the two. That's the kind of man he is, and that's what makes him different from the Arrow. Joe tells him no more walks on the dark side, and he agrees. I like that we're clearly defining how he's different, basically, and that, like, when he does try to do different stuff and be like different heroes, it doesn't work because he's not good, and two, he doesn't have that in him. He is too good to be like that. So yeah. Suddenly the alarms blare, the particle accelerator's online and ready. Cut back to CCPD. Eddie tells Iris there's nothing left to say. Iris isn't willing to believe Wells and says that isn't her future and that she makes her own future. This isn't about the future, it's about today, and ever since they started dating, there's been 3 people in the relationship. She denies it, but he says Barry knew it, Joe as well, and he kind of did too. I always knew. I guess I thought I could love you enough to change things. Damn, this is rough. Poor Eddie. I actually really did. My heart broke for him a little bit where he said, I thought I could love you enough to change things. I'm like, this poor man.
Eddie deserved better.
Yeah, I'm being serious. I might actually make the shirts, guys, because like justice for Eddie. So yeah. I'm sorry, but if you really do love me, you'll let this end, is what he says to her. She agrees to end it, both of them crying. Back at Star Labs, Team Flash watches the monitor like a hawk as they see Wells in his civilian gear walk and unlock the lock gate to Star Labs, arms outstretched, challenging Barry. They caution Barry to not engage him. I was like, you know what he's going to do. He runs out anyway, and Wells mocks him on his failed transport attempt. Barry thinks that this was part of it. He says he didn't plan on that, but is impressed that he went to great lengths to keep them from harm, calling him a hero mockingly. He also says while Barry may think him the villain, he just did what he had to do. Reverse Flash taunts him when asked about his plans, saying to come inside and he'll show him. Barry says he just learned not to trust the bad guy. So Reverse Flash says he can beat him, and we get a surprise appearance by Firestorm, and I love the little moment where Caitlin sees him. She's like, Ronnie, that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Arrow shows up too, decked down his League of Assassins attire from that season. So, like, just to address that briefly for people that aren't watching both shows, or if you're just watching The Flash, in that season, he was allying himself with Ra's al Ghul and kind of being like his apprentice and everything. It was a part of that season arc. That's why he's wearing like the black like hood in this one. Um, so yeah, Reverse Flash is not phased, welcoming Mr. Queen. Hope we're not too late, is what Arrow says. And he's like, you're just in time. I don't care how fast you are. You can't fight all three of us at the same time, is what Flash says to him. Reverse Flash says this will be fun. He uses the Reverse Flash ring. First time seeing it in the series and puts the suit on. I remember nerding out about this back in the day. Like, this was a big deal because we'd never seen that before. Not even really in animation that much, to be honest. What'd you think of that? You thought it was cool?
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, so he puts the suit on. They all get in fighting positions. Flash and Reverse Flash fight in a whirlwind, and Oliver draws an arrow, trying to get a clear shot on Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash throws Flash into a Star Labs sign, and the arrow pierces his leg. Ronnie attempts to fight, but is whisked away by the tornado that Reverse Flash makes. The arrow put nanites in his system, stopping his speed. He runs at normal speed to fight Oliver, who basically knocked him on his ass in like a few seconds.
We love Ollie.
Yeah. We cut to Flash catching Firestorm and running back to the fight. Reverse Flash still attempts to fight, but is laid out once again, but he uses his phasing powers to rid his body of the nanites. Reverse Flash slams him to the ground. This is actually interesting. The history books say you lived to 86 years old, Mr. Queen. Well, I guess the history books are wrong. He aims his vibrating hand at his chest. So, like, this is also pre-Flashpoint, and also we do know the ultimate fate of, like, Oliver Queen. So maybe he's referring to before he went back in time, because obviously some things changed. Like, he doesn't just live till he's 86.
No.
Obviously. But I remember thinking that was, like, a cool line and, like an interesting moment. Obviously it gets retconned later, but yeah. Before Barry tackles, Barry tackles him and runs him farther away. That's the spirit. You can't stop me, Flash, and you never will. They run after each other on the roof of Star Labs, and the visuals really hold up. I thought the visual effects in this episode, you can tell they spent a little bit of money. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the visuals hold up. Barry lured him into a trap as Ronnie hits Reverse Flash with a wall of fire, knocking him off the roof. He lands on a car in a really cool practical shot. Oliver hits him with the nanites again. Also, I've always noticed this when they have him in the mask or glasses free. In this episode especially, it looks like he has eyeliner on. Did you ever notice that?
Oliver?
No, Reverse Flash. Like when he is like when we
I watched this episode without my glasses on, so
okay. Well, anyway, it's just an interesting thing, and I don't know if that's to make him more menacing or what, but like it's kind of interesting. I've always noticed that. Maybe it's because he would look goofy without it, but or just maybe it's to make him look more menacing or just different. I don't know. But so
nothing more menacing than a man in guy liner.
But he falls down incapacitated and the heroes surround him. Barry to Oliver. Nice haircut, and I see we've abandoned our traditional green, trying something different. Look, I might need a favor from you. Wherever, whenever. Arrow nods and him and Ronnie leave. I like that whole scene, and also it's kind of nice that, like, I don't know, just like the whole, like, we've abandoned the traditional green, almost like he's the voice of, like, the fans a little bit. Like, I thought that was, like a cool little moment. Barry stands over the unconscious Reverse Flash. I got you. End logo. No post-credits this time. So, I thought this was a really great episode. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I, like I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of comparison throughout the episode, and that, like, it's kind of like a running theme, because you have, like, obviously Barry's like, I'm not as fast as Wells, and then Barry looks up to Oliver.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's, like, very well, like, ingrained in the show. Like, and so, like, Barry comparing himself to Oliver, like, Oliver does what it takes to get what needs to get done. I need to be like Oliver. And, like, I'm gonna bend the rules because that's what Oliver would do to get what needs to get done. And Barry's not Oliver, and I think that it's a beautiful lesson in like
Comparison.
yeah, like comparison to the thief of joy. Like if you're constantly gonna compare yourself to somebody, or you look up to somebody so much that you are willing to sacrifice like your morals or like what makes you who you are, then it's just self-destructive, and it's gonna come out with like no um there are no means to um to justify the ends. Like
Yeah, that's actually interesting that you use that exact terminology because this is just like this how my brain works. So, and obviously in Smallville they had like Green Arrow in that show,
yeah.
and one of the things he says, like him and Clark are having a debate, and he's like, basically he is a very much even says like if the end, do you think the ends justify the means? He's like absolutely yes. Basically is what he says back, and I think it's interesting that carries over to this version of Oliver as well.
Oliver, I feel like at least what we've seen in television,
Mm-hmm.
he's. I'm gonna say something and you're gonna hate it. I think he's like a better version of what Batman should be, because Oliver understands that sometimes you have to make hard decisions in order to get the results you want. And I think that like because he's willing to not always be the good guy and be morally gray, morally ambiguous, however you want to say it,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to get the results that ultimately do good. Like it is a net good. The outcome is a net good. And I think if the outcome is a net good, then it's justified. However, with somebody like Barry, it's different because that's not who Barry is.
Also, it's not really what that city is either. Like they have very different like rogues and very different like kind of like worlds basically. Even though it does take place in the same world, um, Star City is a lot darker and the villains are a lot darker versus like the Flash show.
I don't think that Oliver would have even worried about moving them.
Yeah, Oliver would probably be like good. Well, season one, Oliver would probably. Yeah. Season one, Oliver would probably go in there and snap all their necks or something. Like with how like murderous he is in that first season.
Season one, Oliver. Oh, sorry. But like, I don't even know if Oliver really would have been like, we should move these guys. I think that
I feel like his team would probably say
that would have been a Felicity thing. Felicity would have been like, Ollie, we kind of need to move these people.
Season two, Oliver would probably already just have them in the like Leon Yu. Like they probably wouldn't even be a factor because he probably would have already moved them basically. But yeah, I do agree. I think that like, and there are some Batman iterations like in the Arkham games where he is willing to go that far, where he locks up Robin because he doesn't want him to go out there and risk his life basically, and so like he'll do like what some might see as like self-destructive stuff because he thinks he knows everything.
I think Batman's biggest flaw is that he's not willing to do what needs to be done. The Joker has caused so much pain in Gotham. All he has to do is kill the Joker.
Well,
I know, and I know like that's
this
not
isn't
Batman.
this isn't
Batman
Night of the
doesn't-
Batman.
I know, and Batman doesn't kill. I think that sometimes people's moral codes are going to prevent them from getting what needs to get done. And I think that even if Barry had adhered to his moral code, there was no winning for Barry in this situation.
No, because Reverse Flash already knows how most of the stuff happens. I mean, he is dealing with an altered timeline, so like things are clearly different, but like he's more experienced. Like, and that's the thing is what Barry fails to realize is both Oliver and Reverse Flash have experience on their side, and also he does not want to be Oliver because Oliver has been through like some horrible traumatic stuff. Like he's only seeing like the good stuff about him. He's not seeing like the darker elements because he is a fan of him, and I think later on as the characters progress they become much more brothers and like friends. I think early on it's very much more like a mentor-mentee kind of relationship.
I also think that like Barry is seeing a much like a healed version of Oliver too. Like he doesn't see season 1 Oliver. He didn't see season 1 Oliver.
Or flashback Oliver, where he's like torturing people just to do it, basically.
Yeah, like he hasn't been exposed to Oliver's darker sides, and because of that, he doesn't understand that in order for Oliver to be willing to do whatever it takes, Oliver kind of like lost a part of himself, you know?
Yeah.
I think like that makes Oliver a really good character.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Oliver, if you guys couldn't tell.
Yeah. But yeah, like I do like that they made that kind of dividing line, and I forgot that they showed up in this episode, so it was really cool seeing like his, because you do have like this connected universe, so you do want to see those other characters come and help out, and it was really cool to see the evolution of like Firestorm, because I kind of forgot about that over time. What's up?
I also think it's kind of cool that it was, I don't know, and I'm probably reaching too far, but like it looked like a parallel narrative between Barry and
Barry and who?
Eddie. Sorry, all I could think of was Eobard Thawne, and I was like, his name is not Eobard.
In what way?
Okay, so whereas like the comparative, so Eddie is comparing himself to like Barry and like the possibility of his future that he had imagined to what Wells had like shown him, and he's having to like reevaluate everything that he's seen and kind of figure out where he fits into things in the same way that Barry's kind of going about like what kind of hero he is and coming to that like part of self-discovery. Eddie is like reevaluating his relationships, not just with like Iris, but like with Barry and the team, because like it, you know, it all kind of is intertwined. And I think that it was really cool to like watch both of them like kind of struggle with identity and like being helpless and not being able to control and fix things that they want to fix.
You mean like like with Eddie then basically being like, well, that's the future and I can't do anything about it, kind of thing.
And Barry being like, well, he's faster than me, he's always faster than me, there's nothing I can do about it. They were both struggling so hard and feeling defeated and trying to move past that feeling of defeat in whatever way that they could. And I think that it led to them doing self-destructive behavior. Like, I think that Eddie very well could have tried to work things out with Iris, because it is an altered timeline, but he decided that it was too late, it didn't matter.
Yeah, and I was thinking while you were talking about that, I was going to kind of bring up something similar where I thought like maybe if this reveal with Eddie had been done earlier, there would have been like naturally maybe a little bit more fight. But like also you, like me saying that too, also counterpoint to that, like maybe just with everything and constantly feeling like Barry is a threat all the time, and like you know, up to a certain point, and like just some of the other things, like when he found out that he had feelings for Iris, and then like that got diffused, but even still, like I'm sure that he's going through his mind and being like, yeah, basically like since the like, because he said from the jump, so like maybe he just hasn't vocalized it, and but like it just seems kind of like he was just done. Like I also would not really trust someone who had kidnapped me for like basically the truth, because like that could be faked, you know, like that could not be real. And also that's a person that is very mean, has never showed any kind of regard to you, and have just been insulting you the whole time. So I wouldn't really see like his motivations. I'd be like, well, he's kind of mean and terrible, so like why would he actually tell me anything that's the truth? Like what if this is just another way to manipulate me, basically? But yeah, like justice for Eddie. We're almost about to say bye to him soon. Again, this is a rewatch podcast, so you guys know what happens, or at least I hope you guys do. Like, good lord, if you haven't, then like sorry for spoiling stuff. But I thought this was a really good episode. I liked the flirting between Cisco and Golden Glider. Yeah. I told you this too. Speaking of Smallville, it was so funny when I did watch this and make my notes. I weirdly picked an episode of Smallville that had her as Lucy Lane in it, which was kind of funny. But yeah, she's great. They should. I forget if she shows up. Like I think she shows up maybe once or twice more. But they should have had her be more of a recurring character. She's a fun
She should have
character.
been in game for Cisco, just like Snowberry should have been in game. But we can't all have nice things.
But you remember, he does get a girlfriend later. But like you do remember the one in like season 2, the one that's like goes through like portals and stuff, like long black hair. Anyway, like they dated for a while and they were pretty serious.
Huh.
I'm blanking on what her name is now, guys. In the comments, if you want to let me know who that is, or I can just rediscover it when I watch it. But yeah. So anyway, now we're done talking about Cisco's Riz and everything. I guess I would go ahead and go into my heart humor. This is obviously a really great episode if I hadn't said it already. But my heart humor spectacle. So for my spectacle, I would probably say that final fight with like Oliver and Firestorm and Flash versus Reverse Flash. I thought that was really good. Humor would just be the stuff between Cisco and Golden Glider. And the heart, I guess, would be like that final talk between Barry and Joe about what kind of hero he is would probably slot in for that spot. And I'll let you do yours, and then we'll give our ratings.
Kind of exactly what I was gonna say.
So it just saved us some time. Cool.
Yeah. Wait, actually, so specifically for humor,
Yeah,
it was you kissed her.
that was great.
Under duress.
That was a great scene. But yeah. So, if I was to rate this, I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 5 lightning bolts. I thought this was a really good episode and really gets me excited for the next one. You could tell I was really invested when I was just like, I'd watched it, and I don't think you were in the room when I was making notes, but I was like, no post-credit thing? Like, I was really into it, even though I know what happens. But, yeah, how about you? What would your rating be?
5 out of 5. It's way better than last time.
Nice.
Hot take.
I don't know why you hated the last episode.
Oh my
so
god,
much.
it's so freaking boring. I don't care about that stupid gorilla. If I could never see him in a piece of media, I would be happy.
I forgot you don't like animals, but yeah.
I like animals.
You don't like parrots? You don't like gorillas?
Parrots are creepy. Gorillas are terrifying, and they like shouldn't be that smart. And like, I just.
Have you ever seen that? This is totally random. Have you seen that commercial where, like, it's an old commercial where someone throws a suitcase at a gorilla? The gorilla gets mad and just starts slinging it around the place. It's pretty funny. We'll watch that later. But anyway, look up that clip, guys. It's funny. But yeah, so this has been Flashbacks. Next time we will be joined by Ben and Brady. I'm really looking forward to having them both on for the season finale. And did you have something to say?
I will probably not be here next time.
Yeah, well, the next one, it will be just the 3 of us, I think. But, so, yeah, so look forward to that. I know I am. And it'll be kind of fun. Like, I hope in the future we also do, like panels and stuff for, like, season finales. That's kind of fun. But we'll see. So, yeah. So, anyway, all that being said, I guess I'll just go ahead and go into plugs now. So, I'm Alex. You can obviously find me here on Flashbacks, where we review every single episode of the CW Flash, and on our off seasons we cover other content like some of the comics and other things. Night of the Batman, which me and this one right here host together. She is the what do you always say? It's your show?
It's my podcast.
Yeah, it's her podcast, and
unless there are guests on, then it's yours because I don't people.
Yeah, I've actually I have enjoyed, and I'm kind of say this when we do record later, but I'm gonna enjoy having you back. I've missed having you on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like sleep.
And then I have the Tangential Exchange, where me and Trip, we actually released an episode recently. We didn't record it recently; it's kind of an older one, but I've been really busy this year, guys. And so that one's out. We have episode 20 and 21 out. So in that one, we talk about how we almost could have died after the 21 Pilots concert.
You are so dramatic.
It's also to get people to go check it out. Like, calm down.
For drama.
This is how advertising works. But yeah, so we also have What Mean. That is coming back next year. And all that being said, did you have any plugs that you wanted to?
Not yet.
Not yet. You're still.
Wait till January 2025.
I think you mentioned it on the last one.
Yeah, my cousin and I in January 2025 are going to be starting a podcast where we're going to review Gilmore Girls episode by episode. So stay tuned because he will be dropping that in every podcast that he does for the rest of forever. Once it's officially posted. Oh yeah, no. It's in our wedding contract. You know, it was you signed your life away.
You didn't come up with the idea for this podcast until
yes, I
like
did.
after the.
No, I did.
We got
married. I've had this podcast in the works since like 2019. We talked about it when you lived in the apartment building because you were talking to CJ about it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I've had this on backlog. Anyway, so yeah, it
went through a lot of different permutations basically before it landed on this current format kind of thing. You had some other ideas originally.
Yeah, I had a name and I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know who I was going to do it with because I went through a few different options.
Welcome to podcasting.
Well, you know, when one of them is just too busy. She's too busy. And I understand.
Anyway. So look forward to that. I will obviously do, like, I like promoting other podcasts too, so I'll obviously, promote that one too. With all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm Alex.
I'm Amanda.
And we will see you in the Speed Force. Thanks for listening, guys.
Dun, dun.